I turned around really quick, and then all of a sudden the second one comes out. So I'm freaking out. My name is Jason Kenzie. I've been a Bigfoot researcher and a filmmaker for about 4 years. I started uh, looking into the lore of Bigfoot and other cryptids too because of COVID. COVID kind of shut down everything. And before I was, doing cryptids and Bigfoot, I was a extreme animal photojournalist. So I would travel the world meeting people that live with the most amazing animals like wolves and tigers and monkeys and elephants and you name it. I would go out and interview people. When COVID hit, everything shut down, so I wasn't able to do my animal adventures. So I turned to Bigfoot because I live in British Columbia and I live in an area which is only 45 minutes away from me, which is supposed to be one of the biggest Bigfoot Sasquatch areas anywhere in the world. So I started, I went in kind of as a skeptic. And then, one interview led me to another interview, led me into the forests. And I talked to the First Nations people. And they led me to an area in the mountains where I found hundreds of these giant footprints that went right across a lake. And I took a drone and I droned it, and you can see all the footprints. And I put this into a documentary called Searching for Sasquatch. And yeah, everyone really liked the documentary. I won lots of international film awards. And yeah, now I'm here talking to you.
Exactly. So were you surprised when you saw these footprints, and how did you respond?
So someone told me that there was footprints out in this lake. So I was very curious. And so I hiked up there. And sure enough, when I went there, you could actually see the footprints from the shore. You can actually see. So when you put the drone up, you can actually see hundreds of them just going right across. And the First Nation people said that I found the migration path of these Sasquatch people that would go from Alaska all the way down to California. So I was shocked. I didn't know what to think of it. I can't tell you that it was made by Bigfoot because I didn't see what really made him. But a lot of people said, well, maybe it was moose. And I'm thinking, well, have you ever seen what moose footprints look like in water when they move? They rip up everything. They rip up the ground. And you could see that these were actual footprints in the mud, in the water. And so, yeah, so I found other stuff too. I found trees that were ripped out of the ground, turned upside down, and put into the ground. And these are big trees, about 30 feet high, and rammed into the ground. I heard howls. Found some tree structures, and this is back in the day when I didn't know what to exactly think if these creatures were real or not. And yeah, it was interesting. I love it. It's like hiking and camping and looking for monsters.
Well, where all has this taken you? What have you learned about Bigfoot during this period of time?
So when I first started my journey into the lore of Bigfoot, it was about maybe 10 to 20% a believer. I had to keep my open mind open because we live in such a big world. Who knows what's out there? And so afterwards I started traveling to different locations throughout North America. So I would have Bigfoot groups hire me, and they would fly me in, and they would take me out into the forest, and I would film all of us looking for evidence. And I went with Todd Parsons to Texas. We went out into the forest out there, and we were surrounded by something that was howling at us and screaming at us and roaring at us from the darkness all around us. And I had my video camera going and I'm recording it all. And I put this into the documentary, and it's called, Searching for Sasquatch, Texas Screams. I can't say it was Bigfoot that was making these screams and howls, but it was unlike something that I've heard before. And at the same time as whatever they were that were screaming and howling at us, there was coyotes that were also howling too. And when that happens, you can tell the difference between the coyote howls to the other thing that's howling, because it's just deeper. The footprints really blow my mind, because I've seen footprints that were, quite big, and I'm in the middle of nowhere. Michigan was amazing. I went out with Chad Dateman and the She Squatchers out into Michigan, and I came walking up on something that was behind some bushes, and whatever it was about 7 feet tall. And by the time I pushed record on my video camera, it dropped down, and I just watched it 20 feet away in the darkness, just the eye shine as it was just moving back and forth behind the trees, as if it was trying to get a better look at me. Well, at the same time, I was trying not to crap my pants, holding the camera, because the whole time before this happened, I have people behind me, like we were looking, telling me that, there's a family of Bigfoots out here and they have young, and they'll be mad if I'm chasing after their young, their kids, so to speak. And so when I'm standing there looking at whatever it is behind the tree, just looking at me, bouncing back and forth, I'm imagining the parents coming up behind me and just going boom behind me. So I'm filming this and shaking, trying to keep the camera. So when you zoom in on the 4K video, you see it shakes a lot. And all the comments are like, God, I wish you could just keep the camera from shaking. You're a terrible camera person. I'm like, well, you stand there in the darkness with something looking at you, you try not to shake, right? And it was just micro shakes, but when you zoom in, those shakes get bigger and bigger. So that was exciting. So I've learned a lot. I'm probably about 50% a believer right now. And the reason why I'm not 100% is because I need to see Bigfoot during the day, 30 feet away, before I will believe 100% that they're real. I just got back from Minnesota. That was amazing. We have in possession some of the most unbelievable roars that I've ever heard in my life. And I can't wait to show the world these roars, because they're just blood curdling, and 150 feet in the forest. So clear, and just, and there's like 4 or 5 of them just roaring and screaming and howling at each other, almost like they're bickering, and something's really angry. And so that's my next Bigfoot documentary that I'm about to launch.
I can't wait to hear those. Sounds like
it's unbelievable. Like the roars, like I've heard the Sierra sounds, and I have to say that if what I have in possession, if these roars are real, they are either just as good or even better than the Sierra sounds. So I can't wait.
Are they similar in any way?
No. We're talking, imagine something just roaring at you, angry, just like loud. Like when I first heard them, I was like, are you kidding me? And then there's a whole bunch of them, like they're roaring and howling, and they're just kind of, I don't know, they sound angry. And the She Squatchers, I was with the She Squatchers. They were able to get these roars, and it was from an elder on a First Nations land, Indian reservation in Red Lake, Minnesota, and the roars scared this elder so bad that he never wanted to go back into the forest again, and never and barely left his house. He was so scared, and his property backed into like thousands of acres of land, and I don't know if you know about the Red Lake uh, First Nations band, but their land, they do not allow they do not allow anyone that isn't a First Nations person onto their land to go fishing or hiking. If you're not, either with a First Nations person, an elder, um, you can get into a lot of trouble. So no one goes onto their land. You know.
Do,
So
do, do they have it? Do they have any idea what these creatures, whatever they may have been, Bigfoot presumably, but do they have any idea what they were so angry about potentially?
no, no idea. But this, it was recorded off his deck of his back deck of his house, and his back deck. His backyard is thousands of acres of land, of forest, uninhabited forest in the back. There's no houses, no buildings, no nothing, just wilderness upon wilderness upon wilderness. And so, yeah, you wait. It's going to be a couple months before it's actually going to be online. Uh, I mean, the roars are so amazing that when I put the teaser trailer out, I don't even think I'm going to put the roars in the teaser trailer. I think I'm going to just keep it till the actual documentary comes out. But everyone's going to, and I hope a lot of people take these sounds and analyze it. I hope they take them and analyze them and get them, just try and, prove that they're fake or real. But you wait, Linda. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait.
Sounds like it. And this was the only time that these particular dynamic sounds were heard there, or is this an ongoing sound?
No, they hear them all the time. They hear the roars. They hear the howls, the screams. Where we were investigating, we heard howls. It's funny. We're all sitting around the campfire, and we're probably hanging out for maybe an hour and a half, couple hours, and there's no activity. It's nighttime, going on maybe midnight, and I decided, hey, mind if I do a howl? A lot of the people I was with, they don't really care much about howling. They kind of think it's silly. And I'm like, well, I'm just sitting around for a couple hours. I mean, nothing's happening. What harm in it? What harm is it going to be? I'll just get up and do a howl. So I get up and I do a howl. And within, I want to say 5 seconds, get a blood curdling howl behind us. And in fact, we were all kind of laughing after I did the howl. We're laughing and talking for a split second. And the howl came and it caught us off guard. Because here we are sitting for a couple hours, nothing's happening. And it must have been 100 feet in the forest watching us, whatever it was. Because as soon as it howled, a coyote howled in front of me, like maybe about a mile away. It howled. And it sounded so different. Like you could tell the coyote howls from whatever this other thing that howled behind us. But yeah, we were like, and so we did, I did the smartest thing that usually I do is walk into the darkness towards where we got the howl of whatever the creatures are. Always smart. Always smart to do.
Is it scary?
Always scary. And I always get scared. I'm always scared. And if you watch my documentaries, you'll see that I get scared, like all the time. And if I was to tell people I don't get scared, I would be lying. And
where do you think the best part of the country is if someone wanted to go out and have some of these experiences would be to start?
Well, my local 7-Eleven has quite a few that hang around there. No, no, just sorry, went off the rails there. Uh, well, I have to say that one of the biggest places that I've had quite a few activity was in Michigan, the UP of Michigan. That I When I was in the UP of Michigan, I was with another Bigfoot researcher, and we were hiking through the. It must have been 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. We're hiking through the forest. We're on a decommissioned. Um, I want to say a logging road, but I think it was more of a trekking road. It was like more. Um, it was dirt and gravel, but it hadn't been used for many years. It was all grown over. We're in the middle of nowhere. We must have been walking back there for maybe 25 minutes, and we pick up a recorder that the other researcher had left earlier, and we're coming back, and it's pitch black out. One of our flashlights went dead. Ironically, the most powerful one went dead, so we just used my smaller one, and we came across, and we on the way there, like on the way to the recorder, I was filming all the tree breaks. You know how they're twisted and broken, because at the time I was fresh, I was new. I didn't know much about tree breaks. I was taught about how these creatures might twist and break. And they're not just broken, but they're twisted. So I was filming all of them on the way to the recorder, and then we got the recorder, and then we're walking back. And actually, let me go back a little bit. Where we were camped out, we had taken ATVs and trucks down this logging road for maybe about an hour driving, and then we pitched the tents, and then me and this other guy, we walked 20 minutes in, even deeper in, and on the way back came across a tree break, two of them that were hanging over the trail that wasn't there 15 minutes earlier. It had just been broken and left like hanging, because as we're walking, I'm looking at it going, like, do you see that? Like, I don't remember that there, because I was filming all the other tree breaks. And as we're looking, we hear a crack behind us, a big, like a crack, and we jump, and we turn around, and we look, and at about maybe 100 feet down the trail, I could see eye shine just looking at us, and it comes out of the trail looking at us, and I'm filming, and I'm trying to. I'm having trouble because whatever is making eye shine, is standing just back far enough so my infrared on my camera can't get 100% clear shot of it. And then all of a sudden, a second one comes out and turns and looks. And it's shorter. And we're looking at this, and I'm freaking out. And then all of a sudden, it kind of like blinked, or it closed its eyes, or it turned and it walked off the trail. And we walked down to where it was, and it was whatever it was gone. And as we walked back, I did this kind of. We were looking at the tree break, and that's when we realized, I think they wanted us to stop and look at the tree break. And then I turned around really quick, and I caught whatever a creature looking from behind a tree, and it dropped to the ground, and it did this kind of spider crawl right across the trail in front of me, and it was dark, and it was black, and I could see the eyes. The eyes were it was eye shine just looking at me the whole time as it crawled across. And the camera was rolling on me. I had the camera turned on me because I was talking into the camera, explaining what was happening. When I turned and looked, and my eyes hadn't adjusted from the light, from looking into the camera. And I turned the camera, and I'm looking at it, and it went off into the forest. So I'm trying to think, was that if it was a cougar or something? And I was freaking out at the same time. And you see me in the documentary me freaking out when I saw it. And I thought, well, maybe I was just seeing things. But then 2 months later, when I was editing the footage, what I didn't know was when I had the camera turned on me and I was talking after the whatever the creature was that went into the forest, I could see the eye shines behind my head watching me as we're walking. And I didn't see this in real time. And it was only like 5 feet in the forest. I swear if I just turned the flashlight into the forest there, whatever it was standing there, it would have just lit it up. But we didn't know at that time, and I was still shaking. Let me tell you, when I got back to camp, I ended up sleeping in the truck. I was so nervous.
Think the structures and the tree breaks and that sort of thing are communicating something specifically?
It's one of the biggest things that confuses me. I just don't understand exactly why some of them are the way they are. I mean, some people think that they're shelters, but obviously a lot of them are not, because there's so many gaps in these tree structures that the rain just pours right through. So at this point, like in Minnesota, when I was at this guy's property, investigating on his yard, there were so many tree structures, so many of them. We must have counted at least 40 of them throughout his land. And none of them were large enough that a human couldn't have made them. Not saying a human did, and not saying a Bigfoot did it. But none of them were like, have you ever seen gorillas when they make their shelters?
Mm-hmm.
They're elaborate. Like they're pretty dense, some of them, and the nests that the gorillas make, right? They look like giant bird nests, some of them. So I don't know. It's a good question. I love finding the tree structures that are so big that not even a few men or a few people could lift the logs or lift the trees to put them in that angle. Those are the ones that I get excited about, because it just shows that, it wasn't just some hiker that came along and said, I'm just going to play tricks on people. I'm just going to make this little structure, so I love finding the big ones. I mean, I'm excited to see the smaller ones too, but like I said, they could be human made. At this point, actually, believe it or not, at this point, I almost think that these Bigfoot creatures are poking fun at us. I, I think they have learned over the years that we are studying their tree structures, and they're just building these things just because, I'm going to just play with these humans. I'm going to, let's watch them think that we live in these, right? Like I could just imagine these creatures doing this just to poke fun at us, getting excited over a bunch of trees, tree limbs, you know.
What do you think these things are?
Well, I mean, highly intelligent if they're real. They are more human than they would be a gorilla. They probably have some kind of primate. Well, I mean, humans have primate DNA, so I don't know. Maybe ancient man that's happened to be able to elude civilization. I mean, some people think they're aliens, or aliens left them here, or they escaped from aliens, or I don't know. It's a good question. It really is. It's at this point you can almost say they're anything.
A lot of
What do
people
you think?
see orbs and such as that when they're out in the forest around them. Have you had that experience?
I have seen so many weird lights in the forest. It's unbelievable. And they're not people with flashlights. Because let me tell you something, when you're walking in the forest, we're making so much noise. Like I don't know how many times that I've been with people and we see like these weird lights and everyone's like, "Oh, I think it's a flashlight." I said, "Well, everyone stop moving." And so the light is still moving with no sound. With no sound. Nobody in their right mind with a flashlight can move through the forest without making some kind of noise.
They have color to them, or are they just a white light?
I've nope, I've seen them with color. I've seen them red. I've seen them blue. I've seen them green. Um, some people think they're fairies. Um, I mean, at this point, I've done like I've produced a couple paranormal documentaries also, and the paranormal I've seen quite a few orb um, like orbs uh, in my time. But in the Bigfoot world, they're pretty much in the same paranormal realm, like the umbrella of the paranormal, really, not just cryptids.
Have you had any experience with equipment, batteries draining, or any kind of electrical anomalies like that?
So I used to, when I watch these shows or I hear people that are talking about how their equipment would fail on them. I've had my equipment fail on me so many times. When I was in Michigan, in the UP, the same expedition where I saw whatever that kind of spider crawl creature, when I got there, my phone, the camera on my phone did not stop working completely. And my phone was only about 2 months old. And the camera did not work. It stopped. I wasn't able to take pictures. I wasn't able to record video. And, being a camera person and filmmaker, the reason why I got my phone is because it shoots 8K video. So I wasn't able to use my camera at all, at all. And someone else that was on the actual expedition had the same phone as me. So we had to use his phone to do any video that I wanted to do. I mean, I don't shoot my documentaries with my phone, but every once in a while it's like, hey, take a quick shot of this, or videotape me with your phone doing this. For the whole week and a half that I was there, my phone didn't work. Like my camera didn't work on my phone. As soon as I got dropped off at the airport to go home, I'm walking to the airport. I decided to try my camera on my phone, and it worked. I have the same phone. I'm talking to you on the same phone. This was 2 years ago. My phone has never not worked since that time. My phone's worked perfect. Like the camera on my phone has worked. I just got back from Michigan. I just got back from Minnesota. We're in the forest. I was given my very first tree cam. Before I was using other people's tree cams, and I was given a tree cam to use. I'm excited. I decide earlier, 2 days ago, 2 days prior, I went down this trail just from where we were camping. And I decided, for fun, I had a piece of candy, and I stuck it on on a stump. Actually, no, not on a stump. So I stuck it by the tree, like in a little hole in the tree, so it was sticking out. I go back the next day, and so I yell out into the forest. I'm like, Bigfoot, this is for you. Have fun with it. Can you save me the wrapper, please? Thank you. And I come back the next day, and it's gone. Whoopie-doo. Could be a squirrel. Obviously, it probably was. So when I get my tree cam, 2 days later, or no, it was the next day I got a tree cam. So I decided, hey, okay, I also got given a giant lollipop, like one of those. Yeah, it was just it was a massive lollipop like this on a stick. So I unwrapped it and I stuck it. I went back with one of the she squatches and went back there and I stuck it in the hole, sticking out, this giant, like huge. And I yelled back out, I'm like, this is for you. It's during the day. This is for you. I stuck the tree cam up on it. First time using it. I tested it quite a bit before this to make sure I knew it worked and whatnot. And I stuck it on. And we left. And then we went back in the evening and it was gone out of the hole, but it was on the ground. Whip-de-doo. Didn't think anything of it. It looked like it looked like something had licked it. Didn't like it. Stuck on the ground. Squirrel, probably, like. So I take the tree cam off and I'm like, I put it away. I didn't even check the footage because I'm like, it's a squirrel. It didn't take the lollipop. I get home out of being 2.5 weeks on the expedition. I get home, I get to my computer, I take the memory card out, stick it into the thing. I was excited to see what was going to be, what the squirrel that took it. All the footage on the tree cam, so remember I said I tested it earlier that the day and a half I tested it. I had stuck it up and I showed all of us working and doing stuff and camping. There must have been 10 or 15 video clips all through it. Every video clip worked except for that one. The one clip I was excited to see of the squirrel or whatever that took the thing and licked it didn't work. The file was there, but it did not work. It was corrupted. Completely, like it just did not work no matter what. I have 4 different editing software programs, some very advanced ones. Nothing would work on this. But every other footage, every other clip worked except for that one. It blew my mind. I could not believe it. Like, what is the odds of that happening? Like, it just makes me think. It makes me go into like La La Land, thinking that these Bigfoot creatures have some kind of an energy or something that will erupt the sensors on the camera so we can't see them or can't see what they're doing. But that's going into another area of Bigfoot, which I try not to go into because I'm trying to find physical, right? To actually go into that realm of Bigfoot being these energy-like beings that have these energy pulses that can, go invisible or can transform into different animals. And I try not to go there. I'm open-minded, but I try not to think that that's the kind of creatures that we're dealing with. But man, when that kind of stuff happens, it really, really struggles with me not going that direction.
Well, let me ask you a question because you've done a lot of nature photography and animal photography. So have you ever had anything even close to this happen previously?
No,
So
no.
this is it. The only time is just with this attempt to get some footage of possibly a Bigfoot taking a lollipop.
Yeah, yeah. I never really had any. I've heard it from lots of people. I mean, I've had my GoPro fail on me hundreds of times. Just because GoPro sucks for filming. But no, I've never really had something like that happen except for with my phone, with the camera on my phone. I mean, that was trippy. I couldn't believe it. You should see my jaw drop when I got to the airport and opened my phone and just decided to just, check my camera, and it worked perfect.
Yes. Wow. That's amazing. So, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of reports of these very strange things happening, and we wonder why we don't have any clear images of them. They're
Yeah,
just something is like a screen between the Bigfoot and the ability to capture some kind of a real visual,
yeah,
accurate concept of
yeah.
them.
I remember filming a black shape in the forest because I heard like a kind of a growl howl. It was kind of a combined of a howl and a growl. And when I went into the direction, I saw this dark whatever it had kind of a gorilla looking shape to the head. It was big, and I'm trying to focus my video camera on it. And I couldn't, it would not focus on the damn thing. It just kept going in and out of focusing, and I stuck it on manual. Um, I'm trying to get a shot, but by that time it was getting too dark. So I went back to get another piece of equipment. When I went back, it was gone. But yeah, it's strange, and I do love a good mystery. So, and I'm big into adventure. You know,
Well, it is true.
I've been
It,
searching for other stuff too. I mean, I went looking for a 30-foot crocodile in the Mexican jungles, and that was exciting.
you find it.
Well, what I didn't find, I when we got to the spot where the locals that were taking me there, the crocodile wasn't on the bank, but what was on the bank was I want to say at least a 3.5 foot to 4 foot slide, like meaning the width of it was maybe about 4 feet wide slide. That's when a crocodile or an alligator is lying on the bank, it leaves a slide because it slides back into the water. So you have to imagine if this slide is 4 feet wide, how big this crocodile would have had to be. Um, I've We did come across a few that were about 15 feet long, and those were pretty big. Um, but yeah, we had a crocodile kind of jump up the boat and scared the guides that were with them. They're like, "Oh, it's going to sink the boat. Let's go." And so I'm like, "Well, let's just wait a little longer." No, we're out of here. And they turned around, and that was the end of the expedition. But you know, I've climbed uh, Mayan Mayan pyramids that humans haven't climbed on for 45 years. It was still surrounded by jungle. I've climbed, like, some of these pyramids were taller than the pyramids of Egypt. So, you know, all like all overgrown by jungle. And I droned it. I took a drone and droned these pyramids, these Mayan ruins in the middle of, it was on the border of Mexico and Belize, you know, and the adventure of that was just blew my mind.
Do you think we will get closer to finding the actual evidence of Bigfoot in anytime soon? And what do you think our best shot is in actually producing that?
Well, I'm getting closer. Every time I go out, I get closer. Well, I should say that they get closer to me. I mean, these creatures get closer and closer to me, and I'm just out there, just camping and hiking and having a good time. So it's only a matter of time before somebody gets a good shot of one of these creatures. You know, is it going to be me? I don't know, but someone's going to do it. I have a feeling it's going to be very soon, within the next couple of years. So I mean, the technology is just getting way too more advanced.
So what's going to happen once the mystery's gone and we actually do have some answers?
We'll move on to other cryptids.
That's true. We will. We always have to have a mystery to look at.
Well, you know, with Bigfoot, you know, if they haven't, well, I don't know. I always hear stories from people, you know, like military has them in captivity. The military keeps shooting and killing them. I keep hearing stories from that. Um, I mean, with this technology that we have with the military, I wouldn't be surprised if they know how to track them and know how to find them and stuff. But when, you know, if the world finally gets belief, so you know how you always hear. So you know, how do I say this? It's funny. Usually, when you don't, everyone's looking for something. We can never find it. Then finally, someone finds one. finds one of something, and then all of a sudden they're everywhere. So this alien thing that's happening with the government, like the aliens, like, the government came out uh, in this election year saying that there's aliens in the, we have aliens, all that good stuff, right? And after that, there's like aliens, everything in the news. Like, oh, there's aliens that attacked this small village in South America. Or there's aliens attacking here. Or we see these alien ships here. Or we have these, like now they're everywhere. Like the government is just throwing alien stuff like, hey, now there's, look, right? But before that, I mean, we'd see, the alleged, UFOs every, once in a while and stuff. But now the government has come out saying, yeah, we have these alien ships, or we have these alien bodies. Now, for some reason, there's aliens attacking here, and there's alien encounters here, and UFO landing there, like just everywhere, right? It's like, why? Why is it so now in our face? Like, you know, I have no idea. Actually, I have no idea why, this is happening, right?
Exactly. But, Bigfoot has become also kind of a popular subject as well. There are a lot of things out there now that we know that we didn't know, even 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
If you hadn't had a personal
Yeah.
experience, you would not have the information that is available so readily today.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. Sure.
So we know
But it
more
doesn't
what to
mean
look
that we're,
for. Yeah, we know more what to look for, and people are more open if they do have an experience to maybe think, okay, was that potentially a Bigfoot experience I just had?
I do love meeting the people who absolutely do not want to go on film or even give their name and then talk about their experiences. I love those stories. And I've had a few. I mean, I had a few I had to kind of beg to go on film, and I would just black them out. I mean, I just talked to a lady in Minnesota. I had to beg her and beg her. I said, look, I will black you out. I will change your voice. Please, I just want to hear your story on film. And she trusted me, and she went on film and she talked about it, and she didn't really believe in Bigfoot. And then one day she was driving home. It was late at night. It was I think it was about almost sunset, and one just right by her house, right where we were investigating, like just down the road. One crossed the road and went into the forest right in front of her, maybe about 100 feet. She saw it. She was so terrified. She she will never go back into the forest, she says. And when she parks her car really close to the house, so when she gets up to go to work in the morning, she just has to run to her car, which is only 20 feet from her house, from the door. She runs in, she goes to work, and then she comes home, and she goes in. She used to go walking into the back because the house sits on acres and acres and acres of forest. I think it's 40 acres of their property of forest, and then there's thousands of acres of natural forest that goes way back there. And she used to go back there walking. She said she loved it. It was peaceful. Every once in a while she would hear these howls. And ever since she actually saw one of these Bigfoots cross in front of her, and she realized that they were real, she never went back into the forest again. She was just,
It does seem that there are kind of like two models where one is very frightened and they don't go back into the woods, never go camping or hiking again.
yeah.
And then there's the other that become obsessed with finding them, seeing them, confronting them. Have you noticed that in
Yeah.
your research?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. Totally. I mean, I've talked to people who they want to have tea with these Sasquatches. I mean, they joke, but they want to sit down and have a conversation, or And then I met a couple of people who said they were dragged into the forest by the legs, like dragged into the forest by one of these creatures, and punching and kicking at them. The creature let them go, and they were able to get away. and they still go back into the forest to meet to try and find these creatures, which blows my mind because I'm pretty sure that if I was dragged into the forest and was able to get away, I'm not sure if I would go back into the forest. And I love adventure, but that would be almost too overwhelming. And another thing,
Yeah.
I always hear people, and it's a saying that makes me giggle because people go, "Man, I was in the forest and they were around me. They yelled at me, or I saw the eyes shine, or they growled, or they were stalking me, and I turned around and I ran for it, or I walked really fast and I got to my car, and I can't believe I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky I got away." And all I have to say is, dude, you are not lucky to get away. If they allowed you to get away, because if they really were going to kill you, they would kill you. There's literally nothing you would be able to do. Because if you got away, it's because they let you go away. They let you get away, right? Because these creatures would just walk up to you and just pop your head off or just take you, right? So these people that say I was lucky to get away, there's no luck. It's because they let you get away. So I always use that motto because there's been many times I've been, surrounded by whatever these creatures are. And I stood my ground, still scared, terrified. But I'm thinking, well, if I'm still standing, I'm still alive, then they don't want to kill me. So I think when they do roar at you or scream at you from like 150 feet away, I'm pretty sure that that might be a good time for you to turn around and walk and start leaving the forest. Because I think that's when they're really getting annoyed at you. And I think if you keep staying there, then something bad might happen. Maybe.
Exactly. Well, I'm getting ready to wrap this up, but is there anything else that you can share with us or that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, so I just would like to say that if anybody is interested in seeing my documentary films, there's 9 of them. There is number 10 is about to launch in a couple months. They can find all my work, all my documentaries on Tubi, and they're on a lot of other streaming platforms like Amazon Video and Plex.tv. I also published 4 children's books. 2 of them are like trying to get, have kids, be okay with Bigfoot. And yeah, that's pretty much. You can go to my website, searching for Sasquatch.ca. You can find me there. If you Google Jason Kenzie, you can find all my animal adventures. I have a lot of animal stuff that I've done, documentaries online that you can watch. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I just want to say, let the Bigfoot adventures continue and be safe out there.